So, deep breath. So the methods are important, and that is kind of the basics of how the method works. And it's important that we have all those to build confidence in the outcomes. But now that we're done with that technical stuff, I would really like to take a deep breath and share my enthusiasm for what has really gotten me excited about this work from the very beginning. Because standardized comparison groups, as I just showed here, are really a game changer for how we can see demand side resources like energy efficiency and demand response. Now, as I noted, I come out of the energy efficiency world, and even worse than that, the energy efficiency evaluation world, where incrementality has all kinds of other dirty words that go along with it. Net to gross, attribution, and its evil vexing subcomponents like free ridership and spillover and above code, et cetera, and blah, blah, blah. And most people usually want to run out of the room screaming, "It doesn't matter." But in reality, it does matter, because what is, maybe not all of those words necessarily, but what is important is that we know that these investments that we're making in changing energy consumption, in affecting changes in energy consumption, are pushing beyond the normal actions that would already be included in the forecast. And the methods I just described allow us to do that, but they allow us to do it at scale. And we live in a data-rich environment now where most of those frameworks and methods that have been developed prior to this were established in a really data-poor environment. Now we can be drawing comparison groups from entire service territories like we did with MCE, and have treatment groups that are related to those entire service territories. And because we can do that at scale, we can use it for settlement and enable market transactions that are really tied to performance and the value that's delivered from these resources affecting energy changes or changes in energy consumption. So let me go through just three of them. The first one, of course, is pay for performance programs. One of the clear applications, and it was one of the pressure points for developing this approach, was to ensure that aggregators could still be paid in pay for performance programs. Unlike a lot of our evaluator counterparts that may have a year or two to consider how to adjust savings due to COVID, we needed to know now. And one of the ancillary benefits of that, of course, was being able to develop an approach in the crucible of what that was COVID, to find an approach that could net out such a big non-routine event and other exogenous effects, and do so with a transparent open source method. So demand side programs, of course, are on the hook to demonstrate their incremental impacts to the grid. It is part of historic net analysis, and it's foundational to quantifying resources that are going to be part of system planning. And pay for performance programs are really an important stepping stone to be getting to that future vision. The other big benefit that the GRIDmeter comparison group methods deliver is enabling technology agnostic settlement. So when you're using this approach, folks are aware already that most demand side resources live in their own silo. And that means evaluation and cost effectiveness and funding has all matured on different islands of the Galapagos, as it were, usually in data deprived situations. So what GRIDmeter does is it allows us to break free from that historic isolation, and the ability to use a basic hourly methods grounded in the LBNL time of week and temperature model, which in fact came from the DR world, can now be used to isolate the impacts within an event window, as well as see the impacts from the other 8760 hours in the year. And we can use that to give credit for longer term load shaping, load shifting, load shedding, if it's coming from efficiency, from demand response, batteries, et cetera, or combinations of those things. So when you juxtapose this information with a common system value, like we have the avoided cost calculator in California, you can be valuing those different components of the contribution and enable customers and aggregators to deliver on the capacity needs as well as those long-term needs. And that kind of common performance outcome is what we really need to scale. Because the ultimate way to scale is having system-focused procurement of demand-side resources. That is the gateway for scaling distributed energy resources and funding them at the levels that we need to. GRIDmeter, I think, could become the common method to navigate the vexing issues of incrementality, to allow us to avoid double counting of resources because no one wants to be paying twice for the same service. Comparison groups allow us to net out the incremental impacts when it's applied to avoided energy use in the wholesale market. And inversely, when it's applied to retail programs, it can net out the incremental impacts of wholesale programs. So it's possible to do this right now with our existing infrastructure. We don't have to wait for some other fancy tool to come along. And I think this level of engagement in DERs is key to our future, even with the national order from FERC 2222 or 2x4. They've called out all of these needs directly, and ISOs and RTOs are working through the details of how they're going to do that. But folks like MCE are doing that today. Their system planning is aware of what Alice is doing, and it's exactly what we're hearing from them and our other clients, that they want to be able to optimize and really engage their DERs in their whole portfolio of activities to serve their customers and also serve the grid